Yes, hello everyone. Prague isn't quite here yet, however, I am very excited. So we're just gonna chill for just a quick second, and then we will get him on as soon as possible. It seems he's showed up. Parag Garg is the VP of Product and Tech at T-Mobile. He has years of experience. He's just an incredible presenter, I think. And Parag, you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks for having me. I don't know about the incredible presenter. I'll do my best. Hope you guys are enjoying your Saturday so far. But yeah, I'm here.
That's awesome. You have a slideshow as well, right?
I do. Let me pop that up on here. Give me a second. Let's see. I will share my screen. All right. Can you guys see that okay?
Oh yeah, it's all good. And without further ado, if you want to take it off, man.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask one question, which is, is this Washington State?
Yes, this is Washington State.
Okay, awesome. I am also from Washington State. I have he's going to be a sophomore now at Inglemoor High School. So I don't know if any of you know him. His name's Garg. So he might pop on too, by the way, just to listen. But well, thank you for having me. My name's Parag Garg. I'm a vice president of product and technology at T-Mobile. So I'm responsible for many of T-Mobile's product services and general innovation. I've been with the company about 3 years now. So want to again say thank you to Archer for reaching out and asking me to present. Appreciate being able to get a chance to talk to you guys. I understand you guys are looking for kind of this online session to get some ideas around product development, product management, and just overall business management. So happy to be here to help and support however I can. I will probably, I have a generic slide deck, but I'm really excited and engaged around the questions that you guys might have. So anything's an open discussion when we get there. So I'll keep cranking. All right. So again, my name is Parag Garg. So I started my career in product and technology about 20 years ago. So I originally, when I look back at my career, I think about it a little bit like the movie Slumdog Millionaire, right? Where I've been in all these unique places at maybe the right times or the wrong times, which has led me to this kind of interesting journey of opportunities. And then, when I think about, back in my career when I worked at Microsoft, I really learned how core technology works and how to build things for scale, right? Microsoft at that time was building a lot of things like Windows, Office, et cetera, at just these huge, massive scales where you couldn't fail. And then I spent time at Amazon where I worked on things like Fire TV and Alexa. And what Amazon did is it really helped me learn how to be a customer-centric leader and how to become a great product leader and really think about products, right? And what does it mean to be a product-led company? And then about 3.5 years ago, I joined T-Mobile, and I came to T-Mobile because of how customer obsessed the brand was. So when you look from the outside, T-Mobile has this philosophy of being the underdog. They've been kind of nipping at the heels of Sprint and AT&T and Verizon, and they weren't afraid to take risks that made sense for customers. And so those things really attracted me to the company. And when I got here, what I learned at T-Mobile is that we were actually a really phenomenal marketing company, and we built a really phenomenal network. But we weren't really a product company. We weren't really thinking about products and how do products solve customer problems. We were still evolving rate plans. And so for the last 3 years at the company, I've been working on helping T-Mobile become a product company and helping define the role of product management at T-Mobile. And so the next question you guys might ask is like, what do I do here? Like, what's your job, Parag? And so I'm responsible for creating and designing, the product experiences for for all of our products and services across branded hardware, family and IoT products, value-added services, and network products. And I can give you some examples of those. So like our Netflix on Us relationship, we just launched Scam Shield. We have Sync Up Drive and Sync Up Pets, which are some of our consumer IoT. We have Family Mode. Under our Metro brand, we do an Amazon Prime partnership. We do a Google One partnership. We launched an uncarrier move about 2 weeks ago called Scam Shield, where we are helping on, kind of fight the assault on robocalling and scam calling and spam calling. I'm responsible for our Apple Watch, Apple tablet, Apple phone experience around activations. So really kind of the general product management across most of the things that you guys would buy or purchase from T-Mobile and get that experience. And so lastly, when you think about how do you evolve and become a product led company, and so some of the things I do in that space is, it's really important to me that we continue to to think outside the box, right? And so when we wake up in the morning, we think about what customer problem am I solving today, and then if we solve this customer problem, how will it benefit our shareholders? And again, not everything has to attribute to money, right? Sometimes it attributes to customers staying with us longer. Sometimes it attributes to our brand scores. Sometimes it attributes itself with customers recommending to their friends. So I'm going to pause there for a second. Any questions so far? I feel like I can't see a whole lot of video, so I feel like I'm talking to myself.
Oh yeah, no, Parag. We usually like to do questions at the end, but I mean, I guess just a
No
personal
worries.
question.
No worries. No, I can keep going. I just don't want to make sure. I want to make sure people are, everybody's on mute, so maybe they're snoring or something. So I just want to check in to.
No, I'm kind of interested now. You came to T-Mobile before they really had products. What was it like kind of creating a brand name out of nothing, you know?
It's interesting because T-Mobile's become very successful at becoming a brand, right? And at becoming what I would call a customer obsessed company. Like when we think about our innovation, it's really been in the telco space, right? And it's really been disruptive around no more contracts, no more overage fees. If you call care, someone actually picks up the phone. And so going from that model and shifting from, hey, I can give you a really good cell phone connection to, hey, I can give you solutions that make that cell phone connection better. I think that's been the big kind of challenge and pivot. And it's not like anyone's against it. It takes experience to go from to become an experience-driven company, right? Like, many companies sell widgets, right? Like if you think about it, you go to Amazon, you go to Google, or sorry, you go to Target, you go to Walmart, they'll sell you a widget. But what makes like Market Pantry as a brand or Amazon Basics as a brand or some of the things better is they start thinking about tying not just the sale of the product, but what's the experience they expect from that product to make sure customers are happy. I don't know if that answers the question fully, Archer, but it's not just thinking about the transaction, it's actually thinking about the whole experience. Does that help, Archer?
Oh yeah, that's perfect, man.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so a few more things that I'll just kind of hit on, and then I promise you I have better content. So a couple things. One, my team is really focused on the products piece of product and technology. So we have call it about a 3,500 unit product and technology group. We lead the product management and ensuring we can not just build the technology, but really build it in a way that serves our customers' needs. We're continuing to innovate through our branded products and services, right? So whether it's how do you activate a new phone, how do you get the apps you love on your phone, how do you buy a phone that might be T-Mobile branded? We're really starting to focus on how do we take the T-Mobile brand and apply it across these different experiences. I think one of the other big things we're doing at T-Mobile is, ideas are limitless, right? Like everybody's got things that they're thinking about, but what's key about an idea is can you execute it, right? Like everybody's got that great, billion-dollar startup idea, but what's more important is can you take that idea and do you have the discipline and the rigor to go from concept to launch in a way that actually supports the cause? And then one thing that I encourage my teams to do is take risk, right? Like if the path is easy or if it's very stable, it probably isn't game changing. And one of the things that I've really learned, and this was when I was at Amazon, and this, some of the teachings from Bezos is around this concept of a regret minimization framework. And that concept means, regret minimization is focused around, hey, like if I am 8, thank you, Sabrina, for turning on your video. I can actually see one person not sleeping. Regret minimization is all focused on this concept that, hey, like when I'm 80 years old and I look back at my life, how am I going to think about that decision? Right? Because today when I look at some of these decisions I make, they're really hard and they're really tough, or they're really like, oh, should I do this or not do this? But if I like fast forward 10 years out and look back and look at that same decision, it's like, why was that hard of a decision to make? Like, not doing something and regretting it is a lot harder than doing something and failing, right? Like, regret sticks with you for a really long time. And so I think to me, that's been a really kind of a challenging concept to use, because, in the short term, people are going to look at some of the things I do and be like, why would you do that? That seems stupid. That's a waste of your time. That's like, you're going to fail. But the flip is also true. If I never tried it, then I'll never know if I like imagine the first time your parents made you eat ice cream, right? It looked kind of like baby food. Like, why would I eat this thing? Right? But like, imagine if you'd never eaten ice cream. And so that's how I look at regret minimization, by the way. And so with all these things in mind, what I've got for you is a little bit of a journey on IoT. And this journey on IoT is both to kind of show you how we've been looking at it at T-Mobile, and then Archer, to your point, how I've been supporting and been responsible for changing our viewpoint on IoT and what we're doing to actually do something about it. So that's what we're going to spend our time on. So first question, what is IoT? Who here knows what IoT is? All right, I'm going to tell you then. So IoT, Internet of Things is this kind of new fad. It's you can call it kind of a buzzword, but it's basically anything that's not a phone, tablet, or smartwatch. And it's these products now that are using the internet, but are like dumb devices, right? It could be like a little dog tracker, it could be a car tracker, it could be AR, VR glasses. There's a bunch of things. But for a telco, before IoT came out, you really had two things. You had a phone and you had a tower, and that was really it, right? Like there's a connection here, the phone call works or the phone call doesn't work. It's very simple. Well, once T-Mobile started entering the IoT space, really, like, we had 4x the complexity, because now you have a server that needs to run in the cloud that runs the software to kind of track or support this device. You've got the network, you've got an app on your handset, right? Like, so you've got a phone and you've got some app running on there, and then you have a piece of hardware that you've made. And because of that, you really have 4x the complexity around how everything works together, because the network needs to work with the device, the app needs to work with the device, and the cloud needs to work with the network. And there's all these new connections and things that need to come together. And I don't know if T-Mobile was really ready for this yet. Meaning, we thought about it, we knew about it, but we really weren't in the weeds. And so we decided we wanted to grow the ecosystem. We wanted to get bigger into IoT, and we wanted to actually put our name behind it. We wanted to bring solutions to markets that customers knew about. And we weren't new to it. Like, it wasn't like we've never done IoT. We had many successful products that we've launched. The one on the left that you see here is called Family Mode. So it's a little connected box that hooks up to your home network, and it's software and it's a software and a service that allows you to restrict the screen time, that your parents may give you. And many of you probably have maybe seen this product or hate this product. Most of our high school and middle school kids rate this a 1-star on Google Play and Apple stores, just getting annoyed that this exists. We get, I don't think we've actually gotten a death threat yet, but we've heard others getting death threats by for having this product. But it's designed to keep kids safe, right? It's designed to give the right controls. It's designed to help ensure that customers are being protected in the way that parents want their kids to be safe from the internet. The middle product is Sync Up Drive. This is a very high volume product for us, and this is a little dongle that plugs into your car. It can tell you your fuel levels. It can tell you if there's problems with your engine. It can creates a Wi-Fi hotspot in your car. You can call roadside assistance, and you can even get speed alerts. And so it's a very popular product. And the one on the right is called Sync Up Fleet. And Sync Up Fleet is a similar product to Sync Up Drive, but it's designed for big enterprises where, like, imagine UPS or FedEx or your local pizza delivery company. But again, like, in all three of these cases, people didn't buy IoT. They don't even know what IoT is. To them, it's just three letters. Like, I don't know what that means. People bought products and people bought solutions. They didn't buy the buzzword. And the reason this matters is that IoT is, call it about a $300 billion business in the US in 2017, and it's going to head north of $550 billion. And, we have a right to compete in this, right? Like T-Mobile as a brand, we bring the network. We have a nationwide coast-to-coast network where you need it to connect these products to the internet. And we operate that network. So we have a right to play in this space. And so we have a choice where we can play with partners, which we do. There are many products out there that use the T-Mobile network for cellular connectivity. And then we can also play by being a solution provider. So looking at one example, Sync Up Drive, we decided that the old way wasn't working, right? We had a really high cost. We had a low control of the quality of what was delivered to customers, and we had no IP ownership. And the example was the hardware was made by one company, the software is made by a different company, and the cloud platform is made by another company. And you have to try to get all three of these things to work. So by the time I'm done, I've got 4 partners involved to get a product out to market where I don't control the experience, but I'm putting the T-Mobile name on it. And so what we did is we said, you know what, we're going to bring this in-house. We're going to go do it ourselves. So when we launched Sync Up Pets, we actually brought everything back in-house into T-Mobile. So we designed the hardware at T-Mobile. It was built by T-Mobile, product managers and engineers. We built all the software in-house. So the apps, the T-Mobile, the Sync Up Pets app was built by us. And we brought the cloud platform in-house. And Archer, I'm happy to send you the article. There was a blog article that went out by Microsoft actually this week, where they featured the partnership between T-Mobile and Microsoft, because we actually run this on Azure. So the entire Sync Up Pets platform runs on top of the Azure stack.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, and let me see if I can find it real quick and pop it up into the chat. Okay, so let's just keep going here. So how do we support IoT? So look, like if you want to do kind of these disruptive type things, like we went from a world where we would go buy products from others to a world where we wanted to develop the products in-house. And to go do that, the big advantages that we had to sell internally was we could get to market faster, we would own the innovation, and we would own the IP. We'd have transparency in terms of we know what everything costs, right? Imagine like, when you go buy something and they just say like, well, it's $50 more. Well, why? Well, that's the price of it. Well, if I built it and I developed it and I own it, then I actually know the true cost of the $50, where it went and why it was there. So that's one of the big advantages of, when you build the products yourself, you can actually control that. So, and then the last one is platform capabilities. So, we built Sync Up Pets, but now imagine if I wanted to build Sync Up Cat or Sync Up Goat or Sync Up Elephant or Sync Up whatever. I already have a platform that I've built. And so sure, maybe a dog and a elephant don't have the same movement, so activity tracking may not be the same, but I can still find that elephant on a map. I can still use this, probably the same piece of hardware. I can still probably use the same app, so it becomes repeatable. And then we also changed the way we were building our teams. So historically, we hired a lot of folks from telcos, and we hired a lot of folks from marketing, and we hired a lot of folks from the network. And when we decided we wanted to go build products, we started hiring from Microsoft and Amazon and Walt Disney. And I even have people on my team from NASA and Qualcomm and Warner Brothers and Impinj and GoPro. So we started changing the way we hired so we could go find folks that have experience building the types of products that we want to build. And so the next set is products, right? So we started finding folks that have had experience building high volume products in the market. Folks that had experiences with what does it mean to build a product for the living room? What does it mean to build a product that uses a chipset? What does it mean to build a product that's in a mobility use case? How do you deal with returns? How do you deal with industrial design? How do you deal with mechanical engineering? How do you deal with reliability? And then we also started thinking about what does it mean to have a family of devices that look similar, right? It's kind of crazy, but these are the types of things we had to go figure out at T-Mobile. And so in this case, we spent time thinking about, what does an industrial design look like? Like, what are the elements that make this a true T-Mobile product? What are the things that are gonna make us, proud of this thing? And if you go look around, like go look at, grab your phone, right? All of you grab your phone right now. Whether you have an iPhone or an Android phone, I'm assuming you have a phone, or look at your laptop or PC you're on. If you're on an iPhone, like go look at the back, look at the Apple logo. It's always in the same place. It's consistent. Go look at the bottom of the phone. Go look at where the holes are for the microphone ports. It's very consistent. Go look at the top of your phone where where the cameras are located and where the speaker grill's located. Like, these are all things that are done by these companies intentionally, because it creates this memory for you, device after device after device. And then you start looking at the curves, and go look at the curves on your iPhone and go compare it to your tablet. And you'll start seeing similarities of how a family of design comes together. We also changed the way we were building products. And what that means is, we started with research, then we would design prototypes, then we would do engineering, and then we'd validate it. And for many of you, this may be like, of course, this is how you're supposed to do it. But the point being is, this is kind of was new to us at T-Mobile, because we were just used to getting these products at the end. Can you guys see my mouse?
Not really, but
okay.
Oh wait, actually, yes, sorry, we can.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, like, we're just used to the validation step of, of getting the final kind of sample products. And what I'm saying is, like, part of the big change is we would research the problem. What problem are we trying to solve for customers? We started looking at design. Like, what does it need to look like? Like, this is probably half the designs we looked at for pets before we landed here. And in the design phase, it's, this is a pretty unique phase, because it's not just about, is it pretty? It's also about, is it functional? So how am I going to fit the antennas, the battery, making it waterproof, putting a button in there, and all the different pieces that need to be valid for it all to fit into a design? This board right here is actually 8 inches by 8 inches. And this was just a board to prove that the electronics would work. And then we shrunk it to this board, which, depending on your screen, may be close to life size, which is about about 1.5 inch, maybe 2 inch round board diameter. But that came to be because we had to go look at the antenna, right? The antenna for a cellular antenna in a small device is usually a pretty tough challenge. And then lastly, we had to start looking at the value of software platforms. So on the top, what you're going to see is all the different services at T-Mobile that a platform needs to connect to. So Active Directory, our platform for data management, T-Mobile ID, so this is your login and authentication. Grand Central is our care tools. So imagine you call care and say, my pet tracker doesn't work. How can they help you? What can they help you with? EDS, this is our data platform. Billing, how do we charge for it? Are you on the right rate plan? And then activation, how do you actually activate the product? So we had to make sure that we had a conduit to all these things. And then at the same time, for the products that we're doing. So like, we have pets, we have Drive, we have future products, we might have partner products, we might have future services. Like, on SyncUp Drive, we have a service partner, Allstate. On pets, we might have, partners like that. We might bring in startups and tinkerers. Like, how do we all put it into one place where we can go do this? And this middle magenta box now is a platform that we run that we call the Things platform. And the idea being is, now that we've created all the connections to these 6 high-value services at T-Mobile, now we can go focus down here and building more connections and more opportunities for customers. Okay, so IoT at T-Mobile. So as I mentioned, we now have this thing called the Things platform. We have T-Mobile software that we've built for our handsets. We are now building hardware at T-Mobile that is T-Mobile branded and a T-Mobile experience with the T-Mobile ID. And it all connects to the T-Mobile network. And then lastly, it's 100% made by T-Mobile. And when I say that, the team that builds this is our team, right? It's a T-Mobile team, and that's all they think about. So so that's where we are today, and we're just cranking it up and spending more and more time on doing this. And so just to give you guys some concepts or some insights, This was the tracker that we built. All this, all these renderings you see are actual real life product now. And when I talked about as a platform, this tracker comes off, it unhooks and it unclips from here, and it shows you how you can hook it up to pet collar and stuff. But what's unique is like, now that we have this concept, well, we've got a livestock tracker, we got a bike tracker, could have a package tracker, you could have a bag or backpack tracker, and we even kind of contemplated a crate tracker. And the concept being is like, these are almost like accessories. Like this little bike attachment's an accessory. This little cow strap with a little solar panel is an accessory. This package tracker, same type of thing. So once you have a platform and once you kind of have a core use case, then you can find other use cases to put the product or experience into. So that's my core presentation for you guys. I'm, really open to whatever questions you guys have. It doesn't have to be about IoT. I'm happy to talk about anything else you guys want to talk about. So it's your guys' time. So.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. We got some from people who filled out our pre-registration form.
Sure.
And I guess this is kind of broad. You had a super interesting niche presentation, but just talking about product development in general, how do you kind of personally stay fresh or keep things feeling innovative? And additionally, if you have a technique for knowing kind of where the market's going, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, well, I'll take it as two questions. One is what do I do to stay up to date? And then second is, how do you know where the market's headed? So for the first one, how do you stay up to date? Like, honestly, you got to do a lot of reading, right? And you got to do a lot of experimentation, and you got to go, see what the market's up to, see what customer problems you're solving. I spend a lot of time with my family and my friends to see what type of things that are going on. Read a lot of news, read a lot of tech blogs, read a lot of, industry insights. In my role, I get to work with a lot of partners, and so I get to go see what the partners are up to. We try to find ways to collaborate with our partners. That's how you can kind of sometimes take a few different data points and vantage points to kind of see, gaps or opportunities in the marketplace. Another thing that I like to do is actually like look at the hardware silicon roadmaps. So most of these, all these products that you see in the market, there's probably I would call it 6 to 12 companies that make the actual chips and the microprocessors that go into most of these things. So many times, Archer, to your question around how do you know trends coming, many times you'll actually get to see it if you follow the silicon. Because a lot of times the silicon vendors are thinking, 2 or 3 years ahead, because they have to go make the hardware, meaning the chips that you can then build the device on top of. So many times they have a good insight into what might be coming or where the trends are, because they have to go put substantial engineering dollars into supporting those concepts.
Awesome. And you touched a little on like talking to like your friends and family, but I was curious if you guys have kind of a company-wide mantra about understanding the user to provide like the best solution for their problem.
Yeah, so okay, that's a good question. So a couple things we didn't talk about is, so I run a program called TOPS, Team of Pros, and it's a program where we used to pre-COVID fly people from all over the US, folks that used to work in our retail stores and our care centers, and we would actually fly them to Bellevue, Washington, where we would have them join our product management team. So we'd have folks that had tremendous amount of care and retail experience who would work side by side with our product managers to really, to accomplish kind of 3 goals. The first goal was to make sure my product managers had a good grounding and understanding of, you may build something, but like, make sure you know how to sell it, or make sure you know what it means to sell it, and make sure you know what burden or problems or opportunities you create when you take this thing and bring it to market. And so that's one of the big areas that TOPS helps with. The second thing that it does is it actually brings frontline experience back into HQ. So what I mean by that is now our frontline teams get a purview into what does it mean to work at HQ, and what does it mean to take something to market. So many times, we might work on something like the spam, our scam shield on carrier mode. We worked on it internally for over a year, right? Like I think probably 6 to 8 TOPS people worked on that program. And what normally our 50,000 plus frontline will see is, hey, we announced a carrier move on Wednesday and we have to make it available to customers by the following Wednesday. Like that's all they see. And this actually gives them a really unique insight to be like, how does a bill become a law, right? That's probably the easiest way to explain it is like, it's not just you get a piece of paper at the end and this is the law. There's a lot of work that happened to make that thing a reality. And so to your question, Archer, is at T-Mobile, we're really good about ideas coming from anywhere. And so we're always constantly looking from, reaching out to our frontline teams, reaching out to employees, looking at Reddit, looking at Twitter, social media, looking at the industry, looking for pain points that we can go help solve in a unique T-Mobile way where we can add value for our customers. And then we
Sick.
take the best ideas and try to run, conceptual cases against them, both in the business world, but also feasibility. Technically, are they feasible to kind of come up with a list of these are the ones we're going to go after.
Yeah, and also touching in on your partnerships, you guys work a lot with other companies with your IoT stuff, and I was just curious how much your previous kind of business connections helped you with that. And on top of that, if these partnerships, do you feel that like they kind of threaten your independence with the T-Mobile brand? How you moved it, to 100% in-house stuff. Like, how does that work with the partnerships?
Yeah, I mean, I think every company deals with this tension right now. And my philosophy personally is like, if we can offer an experience that is uniquely T-Mobile, we should. And if we can't, then there's no reason not to partner. At the end of the day, customers come to us because they trust us with their, for customer service. They trust us with the network, and they trust us to give them a great product at a great value. If that product comes from us, awesome. If it comes from somebody else, no problem. Today we don't sell just one phone in our stores, right? So when you come to T-Mobile, you have a choice of iPhones, Android phones, LG, Samsung, Rebel branded, Motorola branded, etc. So to me, this is about choice. And if we're gonna win our customers on products that we build, we better give them a really good product. And if we can't, then we need to make sure that we can give them products from the brands that they want, right? And I bring this up, like every company has this tension. Amazon has it every day, right? Amazon sells Fire TV, and Amazon also sells Apple TV. Amazon sells Alexa, but Amazon also sells products that are powered by Alexa. And so having a diverse marketplace is important, and then allowing customers the selection and choice is how you're going to earn their trust.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. And you also, I guess, kind of on the idea of brand recognition, you talked about how it's so important to make sure that all your products look uniquely T-Mobile, how they're so identifiable. And do you ever find that there's a difficulty balancing that with innovation and creating something new, or what?
No, because, well, maybe. I don't think we're far enough in our journey where it matters yet, because I still think we're early enough where we're probably on our I would say 1.5 version generation of UX. But look at an iPhone. And again, I'm using that a little bit as a gold standard, but year after year, the iPhone changes. Some years it's very drastic, and other years it's not. But if you go look at an iPhone from 5, 6 years ago and put it up next to the iPhone of today, there are some commonalities between those two products. Not all, but some. And so the point being is it's having some semblance of a language that supports the broadness is important, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Go look at BMWs, right? You've got like a BMW from 10 years ago, and go look at a BMW i8, right? Like a BMW i8 is a very innovative, unique, high performance product, and go compare it to a BMW from 15 years ago. You will find some elements that are still there. There's just some ingredients that tie them together.
Gotcha. Okay. And kind of that the stuff that ties that together, you notice that kind of logos are like a big part. How strongly do you feel about changing a logo or kind of updating, renovating a logo?
Um, I think it has to have purpose, and it has to have a time to do it. We've made some minor tweaks and changes with our logos over the years, but I'm looking at my deck to see if I can find one. But let's see. The T, ours is the T, right? So we're pretty big on the T with the two dots on the two. I'm going to just call them dots because it's easier. The two dots on the side. Will it change? To be honest, I'm not responsible for that decision. That would be our chief marketing officer and our brand teams. But there might be a time and a place where we adjust it. If you look up top here on here, this is an older styling of T-Mobile with the two dots after the T and then a dot at the end. I think we've dropped that as part of day one, as part of the merger with Sprint. I think we've removed some of that. So you'll see small, minor evolutions and tweaks.
Okay. Oh, and on the topic of the merger with Sprint, I wanted to ask you, like, how did that affect you a lot, or?
Not well. I think it affects everybody, right? When you take two brands that have competed in the marketplace for a very long time and you bring them together, there's a lot of things that need to happen. I'm excited about every single one of them, but what I will tell you is like we have a much larger set of customers we have to go serve. We have a much larger opportunity size when we go build something that for an addressable market base. We have two cultures that we're bringing together, and while T-Mobile's culture is probably, I don't know, call it 30, 40 years old. Sprint's culture goes back almost over 100 years when they used to be the Brown Telephone Company. So it's a really fantastic time where we're bringing these two cultures together. We're bringing, multiple locations together. T-Mobile operated out of Bellevue, Washington, Richardson, Texas, and Atlanta, Georgia, and Sprint operated out of Kansas City and Reston, Virginia. And so, as these things are coming together, it's a huge, huge opportunity. Now, it's also a time where imagine you take two companies that did almost the exact same thing and bring them together. I don't know if you really need double the same types of people in some of these places. And so there has been some, optimizations around, how we're put together, what needs to be done. But that's a natural course of any company coming together, figuring out how they're going to operate, as one entity.
Yeah. And I guess we have a bunch of questions from the audience. If you want to take a look at chat and just take any of those.
Let me pop up chat. Okay. What tips do you have for high school students who are interested in pursuing a career in tech and product development? This is from Mark. Mark, I think the biggest one is be curious early. Like, as a hiring manager, I don't do it as much as I used to, but when I look at resumes from interns and, for folks that want to come in on a summer internship, I'm looking for things that show me your personal passion, that demonstrate your desire to want to do this because it's something you're excited about, not because somebody told you to do some coursework. So, be inquisitive, get engaged, go learn, go try things out, go find a project and do it just because you want to do it. Come to me and tell me a little bit about why, this role is exciting for you or why this group is exciting for you. If you're into IoT, show me something you've done. And these things help me as a hiring manager see what you're excited about and why I should pick you over the other 25, folks that have also applied for this opportunity. Does that help, Mark? And feel free to mic up too, Okay, I'm assuming Mark's good. Mahima, on average, how long does it take for product development from an idea to concept and actual sales? It's a broad question, Mahima, and it really depends on what you're building. Depending on the complexity of the customer experience, depending on the complexity of does it have a device or not? General rule of thumb I give myself is if you're building something with a device, think about 18 months. And that's because you have to design the device, you have to develop the device, you have to then get the device certified through government entities and network entities. And so by the time you get done, I think it's fair to probably say about 18 months. If you don't have a device related component, it's possible to do it between 6 and 12 months. But again, it 100% depends on what the actual product is. Something like iOS, you see a release come out every year, but they've got longer dev cycles. So it depends on how many people you have, how complex it is, how much UX is involved, how much software engineering is involved. All those will impact. And one of the other things I would say is, in my opinion, you should try to get something out within 12 months because the other big part of product development is like, how do you know if you built what people want? Like the worst thing you want to do is spend 3 years building it, launch it, find out nobody wants it, and then you just wasted 3 years of your life. So part of it is also kind of finding smaller chunks that you can deliver in, so you can go learn about what the customer wants next, as opposed to building kind of this big thing and delivering it and then nobody actually uses it. What are some factors and things which companies take into consideration when getting into a new competitive market over a technology? For example, 5G development. Well, I think it's both a 5G is awesome and interesting because it's both a technology that's kind of a critical, pivotal moment, right? They don't come very often. Call it about every 10-ish years, and wireless has only been around for 50, so this is probably the fourth or fifth time it's truly coming around. But part of it's a technical roadmap of like what this thing could be capable of doing. And then you need to build that no matter what. But to really get the benefit of it, you have to have customer problems you're solving behind it. And so that's kind of where we are in this evolution of 5G, is that we have all these great technical opportunities that are going to be coming to bear. And then now teams like mine need to go come right behind it and come up with like customer problems that we're going to go solve by having 5G available. And literally, that's what my team's spending a lot of time on right now, is like, what are those things? Augmented reality, virtual reality. What is going to be the next version of Uber and Airbnb and Lyft and Grubhub, right? Like, what is that next set of digital services going to look like? And how do those become available with 5G? And what does that mean? Is the handset done? Meaning, our smartphone's a 4G thing, and 5G is going to mean something new, a new whole category of products. Have you ever seen a flip phone on 4G? Right? Like, who uses flip phones anymore? And so I'm just saying, like, every G has brought new sets of things that customers expect, and so I'm really excited. It's a really interesting time for us in network technology in terms of what that what this evolution is going to look like. Okay, let's see. What does an average day in your job look like? Honestly, I don't have an average day. It's what I would say for me personally is I start my morning off about 7:30, and usually to just make sure everything's okay. So as a leader who runs both product management but also has development teams, I need to make sure that the services we're offering customers, everything's fine, right? So generally there's no problems, but once in a while you might have some operational issues or stuff. So that's usually my priority, is like, are we delivering to customers what they expect to be getting? And then the second thing I'm always prioritizing is my employees, right? So like, is everybody happy, healthy, safe? Do we have any performance issues? Do we have any do we have any things we need to take care of for them? So that's kind of my second priority. And then the third priority is working through everything else, right? Which is, what are products that are getting launched? What are products that are close to launch? What are products that we're conceptualizing on? Working through different roadmaps, working through strategies, working through kind of the planning processes. All those things are kind of what it looks like. But I gotta be honest with you, I don't think I have an average day. Like, I don't think I could. Actually, I can promise you that no 2 days I wake up and end up doing the same thing. And so that is just being fair. I think it's a great question, but it's earlier in your career, I think you'll have a lot more consistency. And as you master and as you master that, and as you start working, get a little more senior in your career, you'll start seeing that consistency was important, because it gave you a base of experience, and then you can kind of go deal with the volatility that comes further up in your career.
Yeah, and I think you missed a question from Naomi. It reads out, if you're able to create something great for users, how would you suggest one goes about protecting it as an IP as a student?
Oh, sorry, I don't see it on my list. So maybe she sent it to just you. Well, as a student, it's harder because we don't, like myself included, we don't always have money. But if you really are convicted in your idea, you can spend some time going and searching for US patents, right? You can try to patent your idea. So you can spend some time yourself looking to see both have, like, first, if it's me, I'm like, hey, I think I have this great idea and I want to go solve this problem. The first thing I do is I go Google it, right? I was like, does anybody else have something like this? Can I just buy it? Does it exist? Is it interesting? Does somebody have something close? And I start there. And if you don't find something, then what I do is, well, I don't do this, but then I will call our lawyers, who then will go do, I go spend 30 minutes with them, explain to them what I'm thinking, why it's important, why it's critical. And then they usually go do a patent search. And as a student, you could probably go do this. I can't do it because as a leader, if I go read on patents and then I go develop something around it, it creates a problem for my company. But as a student, you can probably then go read up on it and go see if there's a patent in that space. And if not, then you can file a provisional patent, right? And I think a provisional patent's easier to file, but you can file it while you're still working on your idea. But one of the things that's interesting and unique is, while patenting is important, and it's a great part of our process, getting to market's sometimes even more important. So that's where this provisional patent's helpful, where you can go provisionally patent it, get the thing to market, go get some customers, go prove your idea out, and then go complete the patent after you've kind of made that progress.
Interesting. And you also kind of mentioned there that you, after seeing a problem, you kind of look at if there's something like it already exists. What do you do if a product already kind of fixes the problem you're looking into?
Well, that's two options. One is it depends on the lens, right? Like if I'm solving a personal problem, I'd probably just buy one of those and then kind of hack it up and make it work for my use case. But if I'm like truly thinking that this is a business or an opportunity, then you may not be able to patent the core idea, but you might be able to patent around the idea, right? So I don't know. I'm going to try to make up a bad example. Like I want a battery, right? And then there's something called a battery tester, right? Like a battery tester, you clip onto the battery, and that's how you know how much power is in the battery. But an invention could be a battery tester that's built on the battery, right? Like that's an idea that's around the original idea of a battery or the tester. But because you kind of put those two together, you might have this new patent that you could go get for a battery tester that's built on a battery. By the way, I think Duracell does that. They have the little pinch things where you can see the battery life of a battery. But I'm trying to say is, just because the core is invented, that doesn't mean you can't invent around the core.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, and we have some more pre-questions. People were kind of wondering what internships are kind of available in product development or IoT, and what kind of base skills would someone need for a job like that?
Well, we do internships through an Explorers program starting at the high school level. So we have juniors and high school seniors that come in, and I think passion is probably the number one thing. I don't think we have very specific hard requirements, just because I know when folks are earlier in their age, like you don't know what you want to do. And to me, what I would encourage you on is go get internships to go figure out what you want to do or don't want to do. Like that in itself is really critical and important, right? Like coming into a product and technology internship, you may learn it's not what you want to do. You may learn, you don't like the environment. You may learn that you don't like the people. You may learn that you don't like the technical work. You may learn that you don't like thinking about experience as much as you thought. But that's really important, right? Like as important as we think of internships to go figure out what we want to do, I think it's also important to go figure out what we don't want to do. And at your guys' ages, like I feel like you can be anything, right? Like you could literally do anything you want right now in your career and life. And so it's important to try out a bunch of things to know what really works for you.
Interesting.
And then for college internships, we're a little bit more strict. And I'm happy to Archer, I'm happy to get you in touch with our internship folks, and they can probably send you out more specific details on that process.
Sure. Yeah, and I guess more kind of general businessy questions. What skills do you apply to yourself as a leader, and what do you kind of pride yourself in doing well?
Well, I think so. I love. How many of you have seen Amazon's leadership principles? So Amazon has if you just Google it, I know most of you are on your computers right now, but if you go to Amazon, if you just go to Google and type in Amazon leadership principles, there's a set of principles that Amazon prides themselves in, and I like following a lot of them, right? So customer obsession, bias for action, frugality, there's a lot of things. For me personally, like I'm a big fan of customer obsession, right? Like I like to be customer obsessed. I like to think from a customer lens. I like to not waste money. So I like, like to make sure we're making the right choices when it comes to spending our dollars and where we're spending them. Um, what else was I going to say? Bias for action, right? Like I really want to make sure we're making progress every day. So, a lot of times you can think about it for weeks and not make any progress. I'd rather make some progress today. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but it's better to make some progress than no progress. So I don't know if that's fully helpful for the question, Archer, but to me, as a starting point, my recommendation is I would go look at the Amazon leadership principles.
Yeah, no, I love that. I've never heard the phrase like customer obsession before, and I didn't realize it was like that important.
Yep,
Um,
very important.
I was also kind of curious about your guys' transition to 100% in-house work, and
Yeah, well, we're not. I don't think we're going to 100% in-house everywhere. We are in this consumer IoT space, and what I would actually, I take back that. What I would say is we have a path now to do 100% T-Mobile made. We're not
okay,
always going to do 100% T-Mobile made, but we have a path to go do that now, which was a capability we didn't have 3 years ago. So
interesting.
to me, one of the things that's important about that is at least we have a choice now. At least we have options. Before we didn't have an option. And so to me, this is about unlocking the opportunity. And then now as a team, we can decide, do we want to use it or not?
So what's it like deciding whether or not to do stuff in-house? And do you think every company should kind of create this path for them or try to work towards 100%? Or do you think contracting stuff out or
I think it depends on what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it. Like in the IoT space, we chose to do it because it was still a early market. And for me, it was also like, imagine trying to be a coach for a sport without ever playing the sport. Like you can kind of do it and you might be fairly good at it, but I think I'd be a lot better if I actually understood it. I think I'd be really better if I understood what it meant to go build hardware, if I understood what it meant to try to get certification, if I understood what it meant to try to deal with it, connecting to the network or to the software platforms. And so for us, the first thing is we wanted to be able to eat our own dog food, right? We didn't want to just go give a spec list to our vendors to say, hey, go build this for us. We actually wanted to make sure we gave them something that we had also, was tested and tried and true for us. So that was one of the big reasons. And the other one is we wanted options. We wanted the ability to make a choice based on what problem we were solving on. Do we think we can get this solved by somebody else, or do we need to take this on ourselves?
gotcha, okay. Now this is gonna sound just a little science fictiony, but I kind of wanted to touch into the ethics of a lot of the IoT stuff, especially with like tracking. Do you ever like take a step back and think about like could this ever possibly be harmful to someone in case of like a security breach or something?
100%. We have a bunch, not going to go on into the details on the call, but we take privacy and security extremely, seriously, right? It's a really important topic to us. If you even think about like our family controls, COPPA compliance, in the security space, all the security compliance and privacy and legal and regulatory. So we have a lot of, um, uh, you know, restrictions that ensure us to keep our customer data safe. Not to mention we're a brand that's really customer focused, and so all those things. Do we lose sleep over it? No, because we actually obsess about it. Right, as part of building the product, we think about how long should we hold the data? Why are we holding the data? What problem is it solving for our customers? Does it have a benefit? We think about all that in terms of when we put together these things. Who can look at it? How does it get accessed? To give you one example, we have a bunch of controls in place on all of our security of our platforms where like even I can't go look at the data on the platform. And that's intentional because, like security starts at the top and, it starts with every individual at the company. So we have a lot of restrictions in place to ensure that we're being safe.
Interesting, nice. That's incredible. And kind of back to general business. Do you have any specific tricks for improving workflow when managing like a huge team on like a macro level?
I think delegation and trusting your team and ensuring that everybody's kind of doing what they say they're going to do and trusting them to do it. And so if you think about it, you gotta build out, you as a leader have to build out a team of, employees that you can really trust. And, in my case, I trust my director team implicitly. Archer, I think you got to work with Heather and Rebecca, but,
Yeah.
I trust my team to keep me on track and focus. And, we have hundreds of projects going on, hundreds of products in development. And the teams have to focus. So whether it's our directors, our senior managers, our principals, and our core product leaders, we generally do fairly well because we have a strong trust as a team on that we're going to have each other's backs, and we're going to work together. And I don't have to assign the thing to two people because the one person who's responsible will get it done.
That's yeah, I can see that. Um, and kind of just more talking general career stuff. Is there an experience that kind of jump started your step into product development or your kind of passion for consumer obsession? And when was that?
Yeah, I would say that was my time at Amazon, right? Like, uh, Amazon is such a customer centric company, and the opportunity to work there in that environment was very changing for me in my career, right? It was really helpful. It was really great to see kind of our leaders all the way to, to Bezos down, really obsessed and focused on getting the customer experience right. And, everything else would kind of get figured out. It's a really great kind of creative place to go build this type of stuff. And so that left a really strong imprint on me around what does it mean to be customer obsessed? What does it mean to do the right thing for the customer? What, and how do you do that in a way that, can support our shareholders, but also really build, fascinating, fun products.
Hmm, interesting. And kind of shortly after Amazon, you came over to T-Mobile, right?
I came to T-Mobile about 3 years after Amazon.
Okay, and someone was kind of curious what doubts you had on your journey to getting to where you are here now at T-Mobile. And I guess they kind of want you to apply that to entrepreneurship. And were there any doubts kind of jumping into the IoT stuff with T-Mobile, and just how do you deal with that?
Yeah, well, I'll go with two things. So one is I touched on it briefly, but like this regret minimization framework. To me, it's been a really fascinating tool to kind of look at things in the long term and be like, would I feel bad if I didn't do that? What would make me feel worse? Being happy and staying in the current job I'm in, or trying something different and new? So to give you context, when I joined T-Mobile, they didn't hire me to do IoT. They actually hired me to work on something completely different. I used to work for the CMO, Matt Stanoff,
Mm,
and he wasn't the CMO at the time, but I used to work for him on what we thought was product management back then. And to your point, with being at the company now 3 years and have proven myself, I've kind of earned these opportunities, and I've demonstrated the ability to kind of do these things where the company now has given me more, a larger job, and has given me the opportunity to work on some of these other things. So I guess what I would say is, you know, you can always take it safe and easy, or you can, go try to, do something a little different and new. And everybody's going to have a different risk tolerance, and everybody's going to have a different appetite for what that
mm,
means. I think you just got to be able to look at yourself and be like, are you accountable and responsible, and are being supported by the folks that that you need to support in those decisions? And in my case, that's my wife and my family. And we spend a lot of time talking about what those steps could look like, and the risk associated with those types of choices. I got to tell you, I've been here 3.5 years, and I love my job. I love my directs. I love my boss. I love what I get to work on. So it's been a really good trade-off for me in terms of the choice that I made to come to T-Mobile.
wow. Okay, nice. And we're kind of ending our time here, so I kind of want to wrap you up with one last question. Talking about product development, and I think I know what you're going to say. What is the number one thing you recommend for someone trying to make a product?
For someone trying to make a product, what do you think I'm going to say?
Is it consumer obsession?
No, what? Well, yes, but actually, it's what problem are you solving? Because I think it's important before you go develop a product, you are clear on what problem are you trying to solve. Because once you decide you want to solve this and you get some premise and agreement that this is a problem worth solving, then it makes the product development a lot easier, right? Because you've kind of locked yourself into a set of parameters that need to be true for this thing to be what you would call a success. I think a lot of times people struggle when they're trying to build something because they think it's cool, but they don't really know what problem it's actually solving for people.
Hmm.
And so that'd be probably the number one thing for me when I go into deciding, should we go spend our time on this, is am I actually solving a problem that needs to be solved?
Interesting. Awesome. And that wraps us up. Thank you so much for your time, Parag.
No
You've been
problem. Thank you
fantastic.
guys. Thanks for spending your Saturday with me. If any of you have any follow-up questions, my email address is at parag@tmobile.com. So feel free to reach out and I'll do my best to answer. So thank you very much. You guys, hopefully you continue to enjoy your day. Thank you to Archer and crew for setting this up. It was a pretty cool session, and hope you guys have a great weekend.
You too, Parag. Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye.